Obsession with control. North Korea is one of the most control-obsessed countries on the planet. You've probably heard somewhere that in this country, people cannot access the global internet, but must use a private network censored by the state. They are not allowed to make international phone calls or leave the country without permission. Even hairstyles are not a matter of choice, but must follow one of 28 approved styles, right? Hearing this already sounds extreme, but in fact, it is nothing yet. In reality, in North Korea, control begins from the moment a child is born. If you are North Korean, the moment you leave your mother's womb, you are faced with a system called songbun. Simply put, this is like a ranking of social status based on family background. If you are born into a family loyal to the regime, consider yourself lucky. Life will be easier, with advantages from schooling to career opportunities. But if you happen to have a bad background, your whole life is almost predetermined, with limited education, lowly jobs, and being sent to live in impoverished regions. When you go to elementary school, aside from basic subjects, you must also attend political classes, learning daily about how great the leader is. Books, television, radio, everything is controlled by the state, and they only let you see what they want. To the extent that while the world knows North Korea and South Korea are two divided countries on the Korean peninsula, many people there believe there is only one unified Korea, since all the maps they see show no existence of South Korea. When it comes time to work, you also cannot choose your own career. The state assigns who does what, where they work, and it is almost impossible to change unless you have enough money to bribe. The unluckiest were at one time thousands of young people forced to leave the cities to grow potatoes in the mountains, possibly destined to remain farmers forever. Even love and marriage are under control. Those from the good class are only allowed to marry people of the same class. If you unfortunately have a bad background, marrying someone from a higher class is nearly impossible. But controlling daily life is one thing in North Korea. Even crying is regulated. People must cry when they see leader Kim Jong-un, or during national mourning. The media always records scenes of crowds weeping to prove loyalty. And if someone doesn't cry, or their crying is judged as not genuine, the consequences are certainly unpleasant. Do you think you could live in a country where every decision is made for you like that? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 2. Things you will never see in North Korea. In North Korea, most people don't know what Coca-Cola is, have never seen McDonald's, and have never even tried an American-style hamburger. In any supermarket here, you will only find bottles of soda that look somewhat like Coca-Cola but are called Coco. The taste is sweet, slightly fizzy, but completely different from any cola or soda you've ever had. Hamburgers do exist, but a North Korean hamburger is just a small sandwich with a thin slice of meat, overcooked vegetables, and a mayonnaise-like sauce, tasting nothing like an American hamburger. Since North Korea limits outside influence, they follow a principle of self-reliance. Whatever foreign countries have, they try to make their own version, but the taste, appearance, or quality is entirely different. And if they cannot make it, then it simply won't exist. In this country, you will also rarely see anyone wearing jeans, especially blue jeans. Because jeans were once considered a symbol of American capitalism, they were banned by the North Korean government for a long time, and even though restrictions have loosened, they are still rarely seen. People here usually wear uniforms, shirts, trousers, or traditional clothing, so anyone wearing ripped jeans or flashy shoes immediately stands out as an alien in the streets. If you are a woman, you might be even more shocked when walking into a convenience store and realizing that essential items like sanitary pads, tampons, or feminine hygiene products are almost non-existent. The reason is that North Korea's economy focuses mainly on heavy industry, weapons, and defense-related products. The production of consumer goods such as disposable sanitary pads, which require specific materials and modern manufacturing technology, is not prioritized. As a result, women here still have to use reusable cloth like in the old days when they menstruate. Technically, sanitary pads do exist, but they are sold on the black market at very high prices. So even if women want to, they often cannot afford to use them. An even more shocking fact is that many North Koreans live their whole lives without ever knowing that condoms exist. The North Korean government encourages population growth to increase the labor force. Therefore, modern contraceptives, including condoms, are not supported by the state. And if you think technology might bring a touch of modernity, you'll be surprised once again. There are no iPhones, no Samsung Galaxy, no MacBooks. People here only use domestic phone brands with strange names like Arirang, Jindalai, or Pyongyang, with extremely basic features. They also come with a unique feature that you would definitely want to get rid of: the integrated censorship system. All phones have surveillance software that monitors user activity and prevents access to unapproved content. Number 3. The hardest women to marry in the world. If you've ever thought that South Korean women all look alike with big round eyes, high noses, V-line chins, and flawless white skin, well, you're not entirely wrong. But that is the result of a nearly nationwide unified beauty standard and the strong support of cosmetic surgery. If you're curious about the original features of traditional Korean women, just take a look at North Korean women. Since the country is almost closed off from the outside world, Western culture, beauty trends, and transformation technology have no place here. Women keep everything as their genes intended, such as the legendary single eyelids of Asians, slender noses, and smooth, bright white skin. When it comes to clothing, their style leans toward modesty and elegance. Long skirts, long sleeves, high collars, and neutral colors are common choices. However, an interesting fact is that there was once a time when women were banned from wearing pants. The late President Kim Il-sung believed that pants were exclusively for men. As a result, women back then almost universally wore skirts, from office skirts to long traditional dresses reaching the ankles. It wasn't until Kim Jong-un's era that this rule was abolished, and pants were finally restored to their rightful status. Marriage here is also quite strict. Women usually marry early, often settling down in their early 20s. Being single at 30 can be considered extremely strange. The divorce rate here is also very low, but not because everyone lives happily ever after, rather because the culture is not very open to separation. In relationships, women tend to play a passive role and let men decide everything, from confessing love to choosing the wedding date. And if you're dreaming about crushing on a North Korean girl, marrying her, and taking her home, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Marrying a foreigner is nearly impossible. The North Korean government is extremely strict about protecting the pure bloodline of the nation. They believe that marrying outsiders would pollute the bloodline and harm the loyalty of future generations. There was even a true story. A Vietnamese man went to North Korea to study and fell in love with a local woman. The two truly loved each other, but could not marry because of national policy. In the end, only after the president of Vietnam made an official request did North Korea finally allow them to hold a wedding. Loving a North Korean woman isn't hard. The hard part is getting permission to marry her. What do you think your chances would be of marrying her if it were you? Leave a comment below. Number 4. The strange war with South Korea. Everyone knows that North Korea and South Korea are like water and fire. One side is notorious for bold statements like, "With just one button we can wipe out South Korea," while the other responds with allied military drills and advanced defense systems. But alongside these familiar shows of force, sometimes the two nations clash in surprisingly childish ways. While North Korea brandishes nuclear weapons to intimidate, South Korea has played a softer but equally powerful card: K-pop. You heard that right. The South Korean military once installed dozens of giant loudspeakers along the border, each 6 meters tall, 3 meters wide, and powerful enough to blast sound more than 20 kilometers into North Korean territory. These loudspeakers continuously broadcast international news, democratic messages, calls for reunification, and of course, hit songs from idol groups with rebellious lyrics meant to spark a desire for freedom. The goal was to ensure that North Korean soldiers and citizens could hear and feel the stark contrast between the two worlds. It may sound funny, but it actually worked. Some North Korean soldiers had their morale shaken, and there were even cases of soldiers risking their lives to cross the border, asking to listen to K-pop. The Pyongyang government was forced to order public executions of those caught spreading South Korean music or films. In their eyes, K-pop is considered corrupt culture, a malignant tumor eating away at socialist ideals. Of course, North Korea didn't sit idly by. They also set up their own loudspeakers in response. They blasted revolutionary anthems, songs praising the regime, and harsh criticism of South Korea. Just imagine border residents having to endure this noisy duel every day. K-pop on one side, revolutionary songs on the other. It's no wonder some people probably wish they could hide underground for some peace. There was even a period of eased relations when South Korea sent famous artists to perform in Pyongyang for cultural exchange. But as you can guess, while K-pop songs are lively and perfect for dancing, the reaction of the leaders in the audience was rather amusing. They sat still with expressionless faces, only clapping in unison at the end of each song as if programmed in advance. Some joke that no matter how relaxed the atmosphere was, if anyone accidentally cracked a smile on camera, they might catch a bullet backstage, so staying poker-faced was the safer option. Later, when tensions rose again, South Korea switched tactics. Instead of music, they used balloons to float items across the border, leaflets, USB drives containing Korean dramas and K-pop songs, and even US dollars. The goal remained the same: to give North Koreans access to information from the outside world. North Korea, in turn, retaliated in a more unpredictable way. They released thousands of balloons filled with trash into South Korea, altogether around 15 tons, including one that happened to land near the presidential palace. If conflicts everywhere were fought like this, maybe the world would be a much more peaceful place. What do you think about this kind of warfare? Leave a comment below. Number 5. A modern-day feudal dynasty. North Korea is a socialist country, but in reality, the entire nation operates like a feudal dynasty in the 21st century. Power here is passed down just like a royal throne from Kim Il-sung to Kim Jong-il, then to Kim Jong-un. Now the world's attention is turning to his daughter, Kim Joo-ae. Still, only in her early teens, she has already been brought by her father to appear at major events, from military parades to visits to missile bases. State media has even called her respected, a title traditionally reserved for the leader. With this level of privilege, many believe Kim Joo-ae is destined to become North Korea's future crown princess. And like any dynasty, there are special rules. In North Korea, it is absolutely forbidden to have the same name as the leader. They see it as taboo, just like the royal courts of old. On top of that, the country uses its own calendar. The Juche calendar does not count from the Common Era, but from 1912, the birth year of Kim Il-sung. That means our year 2025 is the year 114 Juche in Pyongyang. Not only power and rules, but even the protection of the leader carries a feudal flavor. The special bodyguard unit surrounding Kim Jong-un also follows a rare tradition: father to son. A father who once protected Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il passes the role down to his son, who now guards Kim Jong-un. Their duties are extremely strict. Never take their eyes off the leader. Maintain exact walking distances to form a human shield. The site recalls the Imperial Guard families or shadow protectors who followed emperors for generations in East Asian history. And just like the royal courts of the past, North Korea is no stranger to ruthless power struggles behind the curtain. Kim Jong-un's uncle, Yang Song-thaek, once his right-hand man and considered the country's second most powerful figure, was executed in 2013 on charges of treason. In 2017, Kim Jong-nam, Kim Jong-un's half-brother, was attacked at Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia. Two women suddenly approached him and smeared VX nerve agent on his face. He died within 20 minutes. Many countries and international intelligence agencies believed Kim Jong-un had a hand in the assassination, as Kim Jong-nam had been living in exile and was seen as a potential threat to the leadership. Do you think Kim Joo-ae will become the first female leader in the history of this country? Leave your opinion in the comments below. Number 6. North Koreans earn only $310 a month. Can you guess how much a worker in North Korea makes per month? $500? $200? Or at least $100? In reality, the number is unbelievably low, only about $3 to $10 US. A factory worker earns around $3-5, teachers may get a little more, and doctors, though highly respected in many countries, make only about $10-15. Even more surprising is that soldiers, considered the most important force in the country, receive just a token salary of a few dollars. But strangely, despite living with such low wages, society still functions fairly orderly and stably. The reason is that North Koreans do not live on wages but on state subsidies. Each family is provided free housing, given rice, cooking oil, electricity, free public schooling, and hospitals. Thanks to this, everyone at least has the minimum to survive. However, this distribution system is unstable. In some places, families go months without receiving enough rice, and cooking oil is often scarce. When that happens, people turn to makeshift markets called jangmadang. These are not black markets selling luxury goods, but places offering daily necessities: vegetables, dried fish, soap, clothes, medicine, and even Chinese imports. Prices are higher than state rations, but when distribution centers run empty, jangmadang is almost the only option. Daily living conditions are also far from easy, with constant power outages. If you look at North Korea from a satellite at night, you'll see the whole country almost in darkness, with only Pyongyang slightly lit. In rural areas, electricity is usually available for just a few hours a day. Students study under streetlights, while at home, families rely on candles or oil lamps. Wealthier households buy car batteries to store electricity, but it's only enough to light a few bulbs or charge a phone. Hot water is another big problem. Even though housing is free, many apartment blocks have no hot water system. People must go to public bathhouses to bathe. These facilities don't use modern water heaters but mostly rely on coal, wood, or oil to heat water before pumping it into tanks. In winter, when temperatures drop below zero, long lines of people waiting to bathe are a common sight. Those who don't want the crowd heat water in a basin to wash at home. What do you think about daily life in North Korea? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 7. The most formidable military force in Asia. The idea that North Korea could wipe out South Korea with just the push of a button is not a joke but a very real possibility. Since 2006, the country has carried out a series of successful nuclear tests, including a bomb in 2017, believed to be many times more powerful than the one that destroyed Hiroshima. Although the exact number remains secret, the fact that an isolated and impoverished nation possesses weapons capable of leveling entire cities is enough to make the whole world shudder. It's no surprise that even the United States is cautious about Pyongyang's nuclear power. However, nuclear weapons are not the only reason North Korea is such a formidable military force. The country also has one of the world's largest standing armies in terms of manpower. Its regular military alone numbers around 1.3 million, ranking just behind China and the United States, despite its relatively small population. On top of that, there's the worker-peasant Red Guard militia, estimated at about 5.7 million people, plus roughly 600,000 reservists. If fully mobilized in an emergency, North Korea could field an army of nearly 8 million. Put humorously, out of every 10 citizens, 3 could take up arms, including the noodle vendor and the kindergarten teacher. To reach this scale, nothing short of harsh conscription laws is in place. Both men and women are required to serve. Men must serve up to 10 years, and before 2021, there was even a period when service lasted as long as 13 years, almost an entire youth. Women are not exempt either, serving up to 7 years unless they are in poor health or have young children. In reality, though, the training starts much earlier than enlistment. From elementary school, children must learn to march, walk in step, and stand at attention. By high school, the official curriculum includes shooting practice, grenade throwing, and military drills. At the end of their studies, students are even required to undergo several weeks of concentrated training, essentially a mini boot camp before they officially enlist. With this kind of preparation, it's easy to see how North Korea can mobilize such a massive force. Number 8. Pyongyang, the most closed off capital in the world. Pyongyang is the capital, as well as the largest and most populous city in North Korea. It is home to about 3 million residents, accounting for nearly 12% of the country's population. But interestingly, not just anyone can live here. To become a resident of the capital, you need more than just household registration. You must also have a spotless political record. Only those deemed absolutely loyal to the regime have the chance to stay. So living in Pyongyang is not exactly a universal right, but more like a privilege. This city is also home to North Korea's grandest and most modern structures. Among them, the most famous is probably the 105-story Ryugyong Hotel. It was once expected to become the tallest hotel in the world, in the 1,990 seconds, but later it became notorious for having no guests after being abandoned. That's not all. The capital also boasts an Arch of Triumph taller than the one in Paris, standing over 60 meters high. Facing it is the Juche Tower, 170 meters tall, an important symbol of the country's ideology. And if you think the world's largest stadium is in the US or Europe, think again, it's in Pyongyang. The Rungrado Mayday Stadium has a capacity of 150,000 people, enough to host festivals, parades, and massive synchronized performances. Even underground is another world of its own. Pyongyang's metro has 2 lines, with stations decorated as lavishly as palaces. There are chandeliers, murals, and gleaming marble columns. Many stations are located as deep as 100 meters underground, serving not only for transport but also as bomb shelters in emergencies. Compared to the rest of the country, Pyongyang appears brighter, literally. While many rural areas have electricity for only a few hours a day, central districts of the capital often have power almost continuously. At the very least, at night, the city is illuminated enough to be clearly visible in satellite images. A day in Pyongyang starts quite early and loudly. Around 6 a.m., revolutionary songs blast from public loudspeakers. No alarm clock needed. Residents, dress neatly in office attire, head out to work or school in an orderly fashion. Physical and cultural activities are also organized regularly. In the morning, you might see groups of people exercising together in parks. By evening, at the squares, mass dance sessions take place with people of all ages participating. Life here is quite steady, disciplined, and a little less lively compared to other capitals around the world. Number 9. Backward traffic in Pyongyang. Pyongyang is perhaps one of the few capitals in the world where you can stand in the middle of a multi-lane boulevard, look far into the distance, and barely see any cars. Cars here are almost an exclusive privilege for officials, the military, and a handful of people with special connections. Ordinary citizens can only dream of owning one, not only because car prices far exceed their income, but also because of the endless permits required. So instead of chaotic traffic jams like in other capitals, Pyongyang gives the impression of having more roads than cars. So how do ordinary people get around? The answer is public transportation. Buses and trams are always packed. As soon as the doors open, crowds rush out, only for another crowd to squeeze in. Going deeper underground, you'll find the metro system one of the most crowded places in the capital, even more so than buses and trams. People crowd onto long escalators, and the train cars are almost always full, with seats rarely available. Most of the trains are old, some dating back to East Germany, but they still operate daily. For many citizens, this is an essential means of commuting to work or school. Besides public transportation, bicycles are the lifesaver for many families. Interestingly, there was once a time when women were banned from riding bicycles on the grounds that it was not appropriate. That ban was later lifted, and since then, bicycles have appeared all over the streets, becoming a cheap, practical, and convenient mode of transport, especially given the constant fuel shortages. Because cars are so scarce, Pyongyang streets don't need as many traffic lights as other capitals. Instead, you'll often see female traffic officers in blue uniforms and white boots, standing at intersections and directing traffic with precise, practiced gestures. Around 300 of these women work at major intersections across the city. The selection process is extremely strict, requiring candidates to be female, unmarried, aged 16 to 26, at least about 1.631, 65 meters tall, high school graduates, healthy, and considered attractive by local standards. It's rumored that Kim Jong-un and the North Korean leadership choose these women as a way to beautify the city. In other words, from an outsider's perspective, Pyongyang appears orderly and disciplined, with the image of beautiful women enhancing the impression of state power. Evidence of this is how much the government focuses on their appearance, ensuring their uniforms are always neat and tailored to fit the criteria of urban symbols whenever they appear before visitors. Number 10. Must-visit destinations in North Korea. When people think of traveling to North Korea, they often picture only the capital, Pyongyang. But in reality, the country has many other places that are both majestic and rich in history. One remarkable stop is the city of Kaesong, located near the South Korean border. Once the capital of the Goryeo dynasty, it preserves numerous ancient relics. Visitors can explore the tombs of Goryeo kings, traditional wooden houses over 600 years old, and especially the Goryeo Museum, which displays many valuable artifacts. Interestingly, Kaesong is also famous for its elaborate meal set with more than 10 small dishes served at once, a cultural and culinary experience not to be missed. Not far from Kaesong lies the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, one of the most unique destinations in the world. This heavily guarded border divides the two Koreas and carries both tension and intrigue. Tourists can stand inside the Panmunjom Conference Hall, where many important negotiations once took place. The feeling of stepping into this area is a mix of curiosity and suspense, as just a few steps put you on the dividing line between two long-opposed nations. For nature lovers, Mount Myeohyang is an excellent choice. This mountain range is famous for its majestic scenery, cascading waterfalls, and mysterious caves. Most notably, it is home to the International Friendship Exhibition, which houses tens of thousands of gifts presented to North Korean leaders by foreign heads of state and international organizations. Here, visitors can enjoy fresh mountain air while also discovering one of Asia's most unique collections of artifacts. No trip would be complete without visiting Mount Kumgang, or Diamond Mountain, one of the most renowned scenic spots on the Korean peninsula. The mountain is divided into Inner Kumgang, Outer Kumgang, and Sea Kumgang, each with its own distinct landscapes. In spring and autumn, the scenery bursts with colorful blossoms and red leaves, while in winter, snow blankets the peaks in a dreamlike setting. Hiking along its trails, admiring waterfalls, clear lakes, and ancient temples makes for an unforgettable journey. Farther north, the city of Racine sits at the border with Russia and China. This special economic zone offers one of the rare opportunities for visitors to experience cultural exchange within North Korea. Racine boasts a bustling free market, selling everything from seafood and vegetables to electronics. Tourists can shop using Chinese yuan, Russian rubles, or even US dollars, something strikingly unusual for North Korea. Number 11. Mysterious places in North Korea. One of the most mysterious sites in North Korea is Lake Cheon on Mount Chilbo, located in North Hamgyong Province. This small volcanic lake lies in a mountain range, already famous for its strange scenery. Cliffs rising like columns, jagged slopes shaped like giant sculptures. Lake Cheon is surrounded by high cliffs, its waters clear but often turning reddish or gray during heavy rain, leading locals to believe there is a hidden power beneath. The few tourists who have visited say that on calm days, perfectly round ripples suddenly appear on the surface, as if something is moving below. North Korean scientists claim the phenomenon may be linked to residual volcanic gases, but they have never released concrete data. Some South Korean geologists suggest the lake is fed by strong underground water channels connected to an old lava system, constantly altering the water and minerals inside. The biggest mystery is that no international study has ever been conducted. Information comes only from accounts and a few photos taken by travelers. This lack of data makes Lake Cheon both beautiful and deeply intriguing, leaving people to wonder what lies beneath its still surface. Farther north, Mount Paektu is among the most famous and puzzling landmarks in North Korea. This is the tallest volcano on the peninsula, rising over 2,700 meters, with the massive Heaven Lake formed in its crater. The mystery lies in the lake's sudden changes in water level, sometimes rising a full meter in just a few days, then dropping just as quickly without any visible inflow or outflow. Its color also shifts unpredictably, from deep blue to a murky, stirred-up gray. Monitoring reports from 2002 even recorded continuous minor tremors under the mountain, occasionally accompanied by echoing sounds like distant explosions. This suggests that the huge magma chamber beneath Paektu remains active, and the risk of an eruption still exists. The explosion that occurred in the 10th century is considered one of the most powerful eruptions in human history, with ash reaching as far as Japan and Greenland. Beyond the science, Paektu is tied to the origin myths of the Korean people, and layered with political symbolism, blending geology with cultural narrative. What no one has explained clearly is why Heaven Lake changes so rapidly, or what the sounds from inside the mountain truly signal. It is this intersection of geological data and myth that makes Paektu one of North Korea's most captivating natural mysteries. Number 12. Must try dishes in North Korea. One of North Korea's most famous dishes is naengmyeon, or cold noodles, typically enjoyed in the summer. The noodles are made from buckwheat or potato flour, long and chewy, served in a chilled broth made from beef or chicken, sometimes with a touch of kimchi juice for a tangy flavor. Toppings usually include slices of boiled meat, half a boiled egg, shredded cucumber, and fresh pear. Naengmyeon tastes both refreshing and savory, cooling the body while still providing nutrition. It is often served at summer gatherings, especially when honoring guests, as it reflects delicacy in ingredient pairing. Interestingly, the noodles are intentionally made extra long to symbolize longevity, so hosts usually cut them with scissors before serving to make them easier to eat. Another must-mention is bulgogi, the beloved marinated grilled beef enjoyed across the Korean peninsula. Thin slices of beef are marinated with soy sauce, garlic, onion, sesame oil, and a touch of sugar to enhance the aroma. When grilled over charcoal or on a hot pan, the meat releases a sweet, smoky fragrance and tastes tender and juicy. Bulgogi is often eaten wrapped in lettuce or perilla leaves, along with grilled garlic and soybean paste, forming a flavorful bite. It is a staple for family gatherings, holidays, or when entertaining important guests. Culturally, bulgogi represents hospitality, as beef was once a rare and precious ingredient reserved for special occasions. The act of people sitting around a grill, chatting and sharing each piece of meat, also reflects the communal nature of Korean dining. A simpler yet culturally significant dish is taek or rice cake, commonly seen at festivals and important events. Made from glutinous rice pounded into a sticky dough and shaped into various forms, taek can be steamed or coated with powdered beans, such as mung or red beans. The cakes are chewy, slightly sweet, and sometimes filled with chestnuts or red bean paste for added flavor. North Koreans typically eat taeko during birthdays, weddings, New Year celebrations, and harvest festivals. Rice cakes are seen as symbols of good fortune and prosperity, with their pure white color representing cleanliness and purity. Platters of colorful tak on festive tables create a sense of both warmth and sacredness. Number 13. Unique festivals of North Korea. One of the most spectacular festivals in North Korea is the Day of the Sun, held every year on April 15. This marks the birthday of Kim Il-sung, regarded as the nation's founding leader, and it is celebrated as a nationwide holiday. On this day, major squares are filled with parades, mass dances, and grand artistic performances involving thousands of participants. People typically wear traditional hanbok and carry colorful plastic flowers to form massive shapes. Fireworks light up the Pyongyang sky, and concerts are broadcast live on television. What's remarkable is that the festive atmosphere unfolds simultaneously across the entire country, from the capital to smaller cities, with a scale and coordination rarely seen elsewhere. Another culturally rich event is the Kimilsunja Flower Festival, usually held around the same time in April. This festival is dedicated to the hybrid orchid named Kimilsunja, first introduced from Indonesia and later cultivated in North Korea. During the festival, hundreds of thousands of flower pots are displayed in large exhibition halls, arranged into giant shapes, words, or floral murals. Visitors can admire artistic creations made entirely of flowers, such as Mount Pektu, congratulatory messages, or national symbols. Interestingly, many organizations, factories, and schools participate by growing and submitting flowers for the exhibition, turning the event into a collective competition of creativity. Walking through the dazzling floral displays, with folk music in the background, gives the impression of stepping into a world woven with color and fragrance. In autumn, the Arirang Festival becomes the grand artistic highlight. Usually held from August to September, this festival takes place at the Runggrado May Day Stadium, which can hold over 100,000 people. The highlight is the massive group performances, where tens of thousands of performers simultaneously create dynamic moving images. On the opposite stands, thousands of students hold colored cards, switching them in unison to form a colossal backdrop showing mountains, national symbols, or scenes of daily life. The themes of Arirang often revolve around history, aspirations for peace, and national pride, expressed through music, dance, and light. The absolute precision of every movement and the seamless coordination of tens of thousands of participants have earned Arirang a place in the Guinness World Records as one of the largest mass performances in history. Number 14. Important notes for tourists. The first thing to remember when traveling to North Korea is that every itinerary is strictly controlled by local guides, usually two accompanying the group. Tourists are not allowed to leave the group or wander alone, even near the hotel. The reason is that the authorities want to ensure visitors only access approved areas, avoiding unsanctioned encounters with locals or unauthorized photography. There have been cases where curious tourists ventured out on their own and were immediately ordered to return, sometimes even required to write a report. So, if you are used to independent travel, be prepared that every experience here follows a fixed schedule. During meals, visitors should also pay attention to the style of service. Often, dishes are prepared uniformly for the entire group, with no individual options. If you cannot eat spicy food or want a different portion, requesting changes may cause discomfort for the staff. Some guests have brought their own snacks like cakes or chocolate, but sharing them with locals can be seen as stepping out of bounds. It's best to enjoy them in your hotel room or within your tour group. Another detail that may surprise tourists is shopping and payment, which usually take place only in stores designated for foreigners. You cannot enter local supermarkets. Many visitors who tried to step into local shops were stopped. This makes the shopping experience feel somewhat like a stage, with prices and products completely different from real daily life outside. Number 15. Travel costs in North Korea. Travel costs in North Korea are generally higher than many other destinations because international tourists are required to join package tours. A basic 4 to 5 day package usually ranges from $1,000 to $1,500, covering most expenses such as accommodation, meals, domestic transportation, and entrance fees. With this option, you'll stay in 3 to 4-star standard hotels in Pyongyang, with basic amenities but limited entertainment services. If you choose higher-end hotels like Koryo or Yanggakdo, the tour price can increase by several hundred USD. Meals are included in the tour, typically served as set menus featuring multiple traditional dishes. If priced separately, each meal would average around $10 to $20. International drinks such as imported beer or foreign liquor cost more. A local beer is about $3 to $5, while a small bottle of strong liquor can reach up to $30. Transportation is mainly by bus or private group vehicles, and costs are included in the package. International flights to Pyongyang usually depart from Beijing, with round-trip tickets priced around $600 to $800. Entrance fees are included, but for special experiences like hiking Mount Myeohyang or visiting specialized museums, there may be an extra charge of $30 to $50. Internet access is very limited. Hotel Wi-Fi is nearly non-existent. The only option is to buy an international 3G SIM card, which costs around $200 for a small data package. Additional expenses often come from souvenirs such as stamps, posters, or handicrafts, typically ranging from $5 to $50 per item. In total, a common 5-day trip usually costs between $2,000 and $2,500, depending on how much extra you spend. And those are the facts no one tells you about North Korea. Hopefully, these 15 truths have given you a fresh perspective on the country. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next journeys. Which fact impressed you the most? Leave a comment below, we'd love to hear your thoughts. The information is for reference only, so please do your own research before making any decisions.